Happy Friday, or Thursday if it is for you guys. Loving the BBA vibes this morning. We're taking off, aren't we? How good is this? Now, I got a ton of good feedback last week about the 30, whoop, that's not 30, 30 in 30 minutes. So I'm just going to do it again. If it's not broke, don't fix it, they say. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone across the various socials that love to follow, and happy to have you guys in here. Look at this, all the teams streaming in. So good. What's going on, guys? We're going to be getting started in just under a minute and a half. And I'm going to say hi to all of our very, very valued, lovely clients. Hello, Kenny boy. How are you, legend? I hope you and Hayes have had a great day. G'day, Chriso. How are you, mate? Lovely to see you in here, champion. Xanth is here. Look at all the Aussies. Jackie, what's going on, mate? Ash is here as well. Sammy, shaking the flag for the UK. Hang on, wait a second. Coming in from the UK, probably with a schooner in his hand, is Mr. Warren Todd. How are you, Wazza? Good to have you here, mate. M's in here. Good morning, M. You've been super active this week. I love it, M. Hey, guys, if you are indeed coming in to watch this one live, please let us know in the comments so I know who I'm actually talking to. And secondly to that, if you do watch this on replay, if you've got value, when is it? Later on? Please let me know. Hashtag replay in the comments so that we've known you've been in here. Hello, Nikki. What's going on, mate? Lovely posts there this morning or this afternoon, whenever it was. Hello, Coach Carls. How are you, guys? We're going to be getting started in a moment. Now, whoever just said, hey, yo, I want you specifically, go above there and click that link that says Restream so I can see who you are. It'll take you 10 seconds. Guys, I think we are ready to roll. Hello, Tez. How are you, mate? Now, before we do start, I want to do a couple of housekeeping issues, so to speak, to all of you that got merch, okay? Big news. It landed in Australia a little bit earlier. All the stuff from the UK has already been sent out, but if you are in Australia, it is going to be dropped at Burke Road Shops, as I understand this morning. Please confirm that, Carly. So if you didn't want it delivered to your house, it's going to be there at Burke Road Shops. And what you do is you go and say hi to Matt and the team. You grab a coffee and you pick up your merch and give him a high five on the way out. All right? Shout out to Matty Overton. What a legend. Can someone tag Matty Overton and thank him for always letting us use his place as a dispatch? If you did pay for postage, it's been sent to you already. Okay? So that's the merch. What else have we got to talk about? The 28-day challenge. If you're not in our client group, this is the final day to apply. We have got some fantastic numbers. Both groups are over 20. To our clients, I want to thank you for every one of you that shared the challenge post. If you haven't shared it and you'd like to share it, I'd really love you to do that. This challenge is going to be absolutely fire, okay? It's going to be fire. And what we're doing is we're lining up the challenge with our Mad for May 4-week sprint for our clients. So I'm just going to make sure that that's well understood, because I had a bunch of clients apply for the challenge, which means that you guys wanted some focus. So that's exactly what we are doing with the Mad for May 4-week sprint. Okay. If you haven't said that you're going to get involved in the Mad for May 4-week sprint and you're a client, go up into the featured section of our Facebook group and say, I'm in, coach, and let us know that you're pumped about it. This is going to be really, really fun. By the way, for all of our clients, if you're coming in for the Mad for May challenge and you don't know about it, there's about $1,000 in prizes that I'm going to be giving away. So for one man and one woman, I'm going to be paying for a new pair of trainers. Okay, whatever you want, to the value of $200. That's pretty cool. In addition to that, for second place, I'm going to pay for $120 lunch for 2 people, wherever you want. And then I'm also going to choose a further 2 men and 2 women to receive a sweater and a nice shiny new cap, bit of BBA swag as well. So a reason to kind of get back in. And if you haven't said that you're up for the challenge, get into the chat. Like, what are you actually waiting for? If you've been sitting on the fence for too long, this is your opportunity. And the final piece of news that I want to give you is this. Mike and myself have been working on something quietly, and I'm just going to let you know, Kev will be happy to hear this. This is a heart rate monitor for Coach Jace. So we'll release some news into the client group, hence coming off the back of the cardio post that I asked you about yesterday. There's something going on here, all right? Fuck, this fat old guy's going to have to get his cardio on, apparently. All right, let's get into Q&A. Hello, Mikey Bergman. I'm going to bring in Instagram, and let's get stuck into this. We've got 30 in 30, and these answers are going to be pretty frank. What I did was I went to Google and I said, what are the top 50 questions that people ask about weight loss? What are the top 50 questions that people ask about weight loss? So then I thought it'd be pretty smart to answer the top 50. And then what I did is went through and deleted all the dumb ones, and I'm instead targeting 30 of those questions. So let's get stuck in. All right, let me just see my timing. So, all right, I've got to be done by 36 minutes. So let's get stuck in. How can I lose weight fast? All right, my opinion on this is that the faster you lose the weight, the more likely it is that you're putting it back on again. And the simple reason for that is that you're going to have to do things which are not sustainable to get it off quick. The more you have to lose, yes, the quicker you can lose per week, 100%. But I think this mentality is just completely wrong. Because for you to lose weight fast, you're going to have to do some seriously horrible shit, like running and running and walking and walking and walking and dieting, and it's just going to suck. So why don't you just take what is actually the fast way, which is to do it the slow and sustainable way. Does this make sense? Let us know in the comments if you have any additional questions. All right, what is the best diet for weight loss? There is no best diet aside from the one that you can stick to. The one that you can stick to is the one that's the best diet. Now, for me, that means I don't want to be heavily restricted. So if you ask me, what's the best diet for weight loss? It's going to be the one that's adherence is doable. So it doesn't feel like you're literally starving yourself all the time. Now, for me, the way that looks is higher in protein, higher in fiber, so you're fuller for longer. But if you want to do vegetarian, or if you want to do carnivore, or if you want to do keto, I don't care, right? What matters is that what you've chosen, you can stick to. And my problem with keto is if you want to do weight loss, what, are you going to give up pizza and pasta for the rest of your life? That just seems pretty dumb to me, okay? Next question. How do I lose weight without feeling hungry? Okay, well, I kind of answered the question in the last one there. Hello, Lance. The way that you do that is you eat enough protein and you eat enough fiber. And the reason that you do those two things is because they're the things that are filling. You need to fill yourself up when you're in a calorie deficit because you're going to be hungry, because you're, by purpose, running out of fuel. So if you're going to be running out of fuel, that's like you're pressing down on your accelerator and nothing's happening. That's because you're out of fuel purposely. So therefore, you need to try and fill yourself up with food that has volume. Does this make sense? Okay. The best way to do that is increase your protein and your fiber. How much exercise should I do to lose weight? Okay. For me, I just feel like exercise before nutrition is the wrong way around. It has been proven by study after study. If you try to use exercise as your exclusive weight loss tool, it is ineffective, completely ineffective. This is because for you to outrun your food is impossible. If, let's just pretend the old example that I use, a Big Mac, 550 calories, to run off 550 calories is going to take you probably 3 to 3.5 hours. Okay? Cardio for me is a cardiovascular benefit. It's not the best fat loss strategy. That's not to say it's good, but it's not the best fat loss strategy. So instead, don't think, how should I exercise my way to weight loss? I would say, how do I make sure that my nutrition's on point and how do I support that with exercise? Okay, how do I know if I'm losing fat or muscle? This is a great question. And you know what? If you are in a calorie deficit, but you don't have enough protein, you are at risk of losing muscle. This is the truth. The reason is because the way that you spare muscular protein is by giving the body enough protein. So this is where vegetarians fall into problems when they're trying to lose weight. They lose the weight, but they lose a lot of muscle. And that's not a good outcome for your metabolism at all. Does this make sense, guys? Let me know in the comments if this makes sense. So, how do I know if I'm losing fat or muscle? This is probably where photos are most important. Photos and circumferences. So, for example, let's say that your weight stays the same, but your waist circumference or your hip circumference comes in. This is indicating that you're losing body fat. If you're looking at your photos side by side, but you're staying the same weight, but your photos clearly show changes, then you're preserving muscle and you're losing fat. So these are the two tools. I would think circumferences and photos side by side. Okay, how can I lose weight if I have a busy schedule? I think we need to focus on nutrition first and foremost. Nutrition and walking. Just being more generally active. I think a lot of people use their kids as excuses. They say, look, I'm too busy to do it. But actually the way to think about this is I'm going to do it for my kids and I'm going to include them in it. And then all of a sudden you have time. So for me, this is about including the kids in your busy schedule. How do I avoid weight loss plateaus? You don't. And the reason that you're having a weight loss plateau is not because your metabolism's broken. It's because your metabolism is working, actually. You see, the goal of your brain is to keep you alive. And so one of the ways that it does that is when you go through weight loss, it puts the brakes on by slowing down your metabolism. If that didn't happen and you lost weight at the rate of 2 kilos per week, that means in 50 weeks you'd be 100 kilos less, and some of you only weigh 70 kilos. So this is the reason why you have plateaus. Plateaus are imperative. However, they are very frustrating if you've got a lot of weight to lose. So what we need to do is have a strategy, but you don't avoid weight loss plateaus. Okay, what are some healthy foods to eat for weight loss? I'm going to tell you that you can lose weight eating nothing but chocolate if the calories are right. You can lose weight drinking nothing but beer if the calories are right. But you can also not. Okay, so it's not about individual foods. To answer the question without it being a technicality, what are some healthy foods to eat for weight loss? Well, for me, the best options are going to be foods that fill you up. In other words, they're high in fiber, high in protein. Foods that you enjoy because then you can stick to it. So for me, for example, I love fish. I love eggs, as an example. That doesn't feel like any form of a diet to me. Those two foods also are high in protein and moderate in calories. They're not weight loss foods, but they're good foods if you want to lose weight because it's about hitting your calorie intake. So guys, stop thinking there are specific foods that you need to get involved with to lose weight. There's nothing that inherently burns fat. That's what you need to know. How can I track my weight loss progress? By being accountable as often as possible. This means weekly weigh-ins and weekly photos. How can I lose weight if I have a sweet tooth? I would say include some sweets. People want to try to avoid the thing when actually if you just gave yourself the thing in a moderate amount, that would be completely fine. The problem is when we restrict and we restrict and we restrict, and then by restricting, we find ourselves eating the entire packet of Tim Tams. That's the problem. And for anyone that doesn't know what a Tim Tam is, I'm sorry, very popular in Australia, right? So I think the key is to give yourself treats, even every day. but the treats have to be as part of your total daily calorie intake. Ladies, gents, does this make sense? To actually allow yourself to have some things rather than ban it all and then find that you can't do that? To me, that makes complete sense. How can I lose weight if I hate exercise? Well, I've just said at the start, you actually don't need to do exercise to lose weight. It supplements what you do, but it's nutrition that's the thing. So I would personally focus on detaching from exercise, because in your mind, you probably think exercise is sweaty and it's horrible and I'm going to puff lots and it's not going to feel good. Okay, you know what? Drop that for the moment. Let's focus on getting our nutrition right and fueling our body. And let's combine that with as much walking as we can do. Then it doesn't feel like structured exercise. That would be my strategy. Okay? All right, let's keep going. What are some healthy snacks for weight loss? I'm going to come back and say there are no healthy snacks for weight loss. There is just snacks that are lower in calories and higher in calories, that are lower in protein and higher in protein. Some of my favorite snacks, I might rattle them off. They're going to be protein bars or any protein type supplements. They're going to be beef jerky. My favorite one that I go upstairs and get nearly every single day is 3 rice cakes with a massive slab of 0% fat cottage cheese topped with tuna and the oil drained off. Right? These don't have to be creative meal prep strategies. We want things to be simple. How can I lose weight if I have a desk job? Yeah, big question. Again, we've hammered the nutrition point, but we need to make our part of our day to get up. Does anyone use an iPhone and have that reminder that tells you to stand up every 2 hours or every 1 hour? Like, that's what you got to do. You got to keep getting up on the desk, because if you're positioned in this position for 8-10 hours, your step count over the course of the day is going to be nothing. You're going to be more tired. You're going to be less productive. So you need to stand up, get up. Okay, how can I lose weight if I have a family history of obesity? Guys, I did a post yesterday or the day before talking about genetics, okay? And I had this like massive moment. And the massive moment was this. People always blame weight gain or poor weight management or whatever you want to call it on their genetics. And I always used to say, no, genetics has nothing to do with it. But actually, genetics has everything to do with it. Not because there's a direct cause as a result of the genes you were given, but because your mum and your dad are your mum and dad, and you got your behaviors from them. That's the link. So when you say, how can I lose weight if I have a family history of obesity? I want you to know that it's got nothing to do with the actual DNA that's in your cells, your genetics. It's got everything to do with likely the upbringing that you had, which is actually genetics because it's come from your parents, but you can't do anything about that, can you? So what we need to do now is just understand that although the genetics was the cause, it's not the solution to blame it on genetics. It's got nothing to do with genetics. All right, what are some easy ways to reduce calories for weight loss? Yep, I'll give you 2 or 3. I'll give you the top 2. Stop drinking calorie-filled beverages, number 1. Number 2, stop eating packet food. If you do those 2 things, like I say this with like no, exaggeration at all. If you do those 2 things, just only drink water or 0-calorie beverages, okay? Now, if you have a beer on the weekend, that's fine. I'm almost making an exception for alcohol to make the point that it's all of the calories in the beverages that we don't think about that we're just consuming. Fruit juices, cordials, sodas, etc. Okay? Stop doing that. And secondly, stop eating foods in packets. If you don't do any exercise, but you do those 2 things, the weight will fall off you. Truth. Next up, how can I lose weight if I'm a vegan or a vegetarian? For most vegans or vegetarians, actually weight gain is the problem. I think that the thing that you need to be mindful of if you are a vegan or a vegetarian is getting enough protein in, because otherwise the weight that you lose from being in a calorie deficit is likely to be both muscle and fat, which is not a good outcome. What are some weight loss supplements that work? None. Except, I'm going to do a post on this soon or a video on this soon. There is a new supplement out that you may have heard about. I'm going to talk about it briefly now. It's marketed as a brand name called Ozempic, and it is taking the US by fire, all right, by storm, and it is sweeping the world. It's selling out everywhere. And the reason is because it actually works for a little bit. And here's the mechanism of which it works. Most fat loss supplements give you an increase in what is perceived to be calorie burning. So they give you a lot of caffeine, they make you do things, right? But they don't actually work long term. There's no link between weight loss supplements and actually losing weight long term. However, with Ozempic, the way that it works is through reducing your appetite, okay? So it targets actually the feeling of your stomach. So it reduces your appetite. Has anyone heard about this yet? I don't know if it's caught on in Australia yet. So it actually does work in combination with a sustainable plan. The problem is that your love for food is like emotional and is deep in your bones. And so just taking essentially an appetite suppressant for a short period of time is not going to work for a long period of time. But of course, you know, by creating a calorie deficit, if you reduce your intake of food as a consequence of a reduced appetite, well, then you're going to lose weight, right? So with Ozempic, it's basically the same as you restricting food and causing a calorie deficit. So my argument's always going to be, well, what would you prefer to do? Would you prefer to artificially restrict your food with a pill? Or would you like to eat really nice food, but eat food that suppresses your appetite because it's inherently higher volume food, but less calorie food? So one's going to mean that you're going to have to eat less. The other one's going to mean that you're actually just going to have to eat better quality. High protein, high fiber, both cause weight loss. One's sustainable. Let us know in the comments, guys, if anyone's actually heard of this product. Okay, what are some common weight loss obstacles and how can I overcome them? That's too big a question. I'm not even going to answer that one. How long does it take to see weight loss efforts? 1 week. 1 week. In terms of breaking down, absolutely 1 week. Yep. You'll see really good results in 1 week. And people will say, oh, but there's a lot of water weight in that. Yep. There is some water weight in that. Absolutely. If you've lost 5 kilos in your first week, I would say as a prediction, 2 of those would be likely, 2 to 2.5 of those would be water weight. But that's not a bad thing because the other 2 to 2.5 kilos is going to be fat, mostly. And this is a good thing. Regarding Ozempic, M says, if you stop taking it though, are you more likely to start going back? Yeah, this is the exact point, M's. Yep. Appetite suppressants, it's kind of like saying, well, keto works if you do it forever because it means that you eat less calories. Anything works if you do it forever, but the moment you resume it, this is where we've got to think about the habits that we're creating instead of just doing things in the short term. And for those of you that are one of our clients that really struggle to kind of build these habits, they're hard. They're hard habits to build. So you don't need to feel like a failure. They're challenging habits to build. It takes you maybe 5 or 10 years in the longest cases of fighting it. But you're playing a long game, and that is a challenge, and that is, I think, worthy of acknowledgement. Okay, let's get these final first out. How much can I realistically lose in a month? Remember, these are the top 30 questions from Google. How much weight can I realistically lose in a month? Well, you could lose probably, I guess, maybe 10 to 12 kilograms. Would that be good? Not necessarily. No, I don't think so. Yeah, Ozempic is huge in Australia. Its stock is limited. Okay, cool. So, so how much can you lose in a month? Probably depends on exactly what you're doing. But for me, I really would warn against rapid weight loss. They've done a study where they looked at the biggest loser contestants, and in nearly all cases, where there has been rapid weight loss, there's also been rapid weight regain. And that's not just because of the eating, it's because of the massive dip in metabolic rate that struggles to rebound. Does that make sense? Have I explained that right? So when you lose weight really quickly, obviously the body's thinking to itself, oh, there must be a famine here, a shortage of food. I've got to turn down all the burners to make sure we're not burning too much petrol here. But in return, the damage is that metabolic rate suffers. And that's not something we want if we're going to preserve our weight long term. All right, how can I lose weight if I have knee or joint problem? Great question. Knee or joint problem. I would say make your exercise mode to be resistance training predominantly, things that don't cause you as much pain. Secondly, for any form of cardio type activity, take the weight off your joints, such as swimming, such as cycling, stationary cycle and the like. And this is the reason why people that go out and smash a bunch of cardio to try to lose weight nearly always end up back at the start because their joints can't handle it. How can I lose weight specifically from my belly? You can't. Unfortunately, it'd be so good to be able to pick where we wanted to do it, right? So I always use an analogy of the toilet roll. Imagine the belly fat that's really stubborn, or maybe for you it's your lower back fat, or maybe it's somewhere else. That's like the roll that's inside of the toilet roll. And the fat that you have that seems to be the first and easiest place to lose is the outside of the toilet roll. So before you can get to that stubborn, hard to get fat, which is on the inside of the toilet roll, you got to pull the paper off the outside of the toilet roll. All right? And if you continue to take it off slowly but surely, it will eventually come off. But you can't fudge it. You can't reach onto the inside of the toilet roll and pull that out. It doesn't work that way, guys. Calorie deficit over a long period of time. And sometimes it's going to take calorie deficit with a reverse diet, calorie deficit with a reverse diet. It's going to take a period of time to actually get to where you want. My friend has a gastric band. It worked. Seems like less effort. Yep, they do work. Why do they work? Because you're restricting the food volume that you're having. Anything that restricts the food volume, thus the calories, leads to weight loss. There's no argument there. Whether you do that through starving yourself or some type of surgery, it always works. But it works with repercussions. And those repercussions are going to be that the moment you start doing the thing again, you put the weight back on again, likely with an interruption, a big impact to your metabolism. So would I suggest weight loss surgery? 100% no. Unless it was the absolute final straw and you've been through BBA and you've really given it a go. That's the way I would put that to you guys. So isn't it bad that I am hungry, losing weight? Does that mean I'm eating too little? No, not necessarily. So as we talked about, I think one of the things that we start to get in our head is that, okay, if I'm doing this sustainably, I should never be hungry. But that's not true. That's definitely not true. You're going to have periods of time, even if you're doing it really, really well and sustainably, where you are hungry because your body is going through these periods where it's low on petrol because you're not doing what you used to do in supplying it with abundance of petrol, food, calories, right? So I don't think it's completely bad to be hungry at times. You're going to have that. But that's part of the regulation of calories, is that you have hunger and satiety. And the closer you get to your goal weight, the more reliable your hunger and satiety cues become. Does that make sense? Because they've shown that in overweight people, the release of certain hormones like ghrelin, for example, it sounds like gremlin, doesn't it? From the stomach actually is increased and the sensitivity to fullness hormones is decreased. Two more questions. If I want to do cardio for extra weight loss, should it be fasted? No, not unless that's what you really like doing. There is no benefit to fasted cardio aside from if you prefer to do that. Okay? There's basic reasons which are hard to explain, but the basics of it are this. You may burn more fat during that period of fasting cardio, but the way that the body switches between fuels, it's made up for later on in the day. So it feels like we're doing something good, but there's no additional benefits to just being in a calorie deficit. Okay, last question. If you got any other questions, guys, please pop them in the comments. Why do you place so much emphasis on step count for weight loss? Yeah, I certainly do. And the reason is this. So many of us has very sedentary lives. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you really just focused on being more active, here's the thing, right? Most of us get really addicted to this like so-called 1 hour of exercise that we should be doing each day. But then if we do that 1 hour of exercise really, really hard, but it causes us to be really, really exhausted and tired for the other 15 hours a day, that's going to cause the calories burned in those other 15 hours a day to all be suppressed. So in other words, because we're tired, we're sluggish, right? So as an example, if I am working out really hard for an hour, but the other 15 hours that I'm awake, I'm so exhausted from the hour of exercise, it could be entirely possible that you would be better to not do the exercise at all. So when we track our steps, that works as a minimum baseline, okay? Because it's a great indicator of how active we are. So let's say that you did a bunch of, let's say a resistance training session, and it really made you tired and kind of, you were just like absolutely fatigued at the end of it. Okay, great. If you weren't tracking steps, it could be entirely possible that you would go home and literally sit in a desk all day, do nothing, and your step count would be 1,000. But by tracking your steps, you almost put a ceiling. Think of it like a scaffold that lifts up your activity level for the day, which is going to mean that your overall burn from that activity is not completely nothing. You've done your resistance training for the purpose of building muscle and preserving metabolism, but then you've got this like scaffolding sitting up under the rest of your day to make sure that your overall activity in those other 15 hours that you weren't exercising doesn't drop too low. Does that make sense, guys? This is the reason why step count is important. It's because it's a great indication of just how active we are for the entire day. Okay? So if you had a really sedentary life, tracking your steps is one of the simplest things that you could possibly do. All right, guys, there we go. 3 minutes early. And M says it becomes addictive to get that step count too. Congratulations on 500 days of 10,000 steps, Ems. That's a massive commitment. So well done. Great stuff. Hey, guys, that's it. That's all. We got it all done in about 25 minutes, actually. So it should be called 30 in 25. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up to the challenge and you want to get involved, guys, clients, there's 20 of you watching live. Please tag in the comments any of your friends, not of this video, on our personal profile. You'll see a post there that says about the challenge. It's going to be excellent. Secondly, to all of you clients, I would say take a little bit of a rest over the weekend. I would really recommend that. We call it a deload. Take a bit of a deload over the weekend. Like turn it down a little bit so that come Monday, you can turn the notch right up and you can get involved in the Mad for May. So call it a deload for you. Maybe have a couple of wines or do whatever you want to do on the weekend. Just zone out a little bit and then come in Monday ready to tackle these 4 weeks straight. All right, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Have a beautiful afternoon. Thanks, Ash. I appreciate you, mate. Take care, guys. Have a beautiful start to the weekend. After all, it is Friday and the weekend starts on Friday.